Welcome to my art studio. My name is Abigail Myers, and today I'm going to open up my drawing board, let you guys in, see what I'm working on, maybe do a little bit of chatting. I know there's been some crazy stuff going on, of course, with in the world, pandemic, and we're all at home a little bit. I have found myself with some more extra time, which I've really been diving into my artwork more, and I would also like to do more videos. So this is my very first video ever put out with my face on screen. So I'm a little bit nervous, but hopefully it'll come out good. We might have a couple laughs, who knows? We'll see what happens. I do have a couple little dogs right down in here. So if the camera gets knocked over or something, just go with it. Hopefully it'll be funny. But enjoy what I'm doing. This is not really a tutorial. This is more of a sit back, relax, watch me work, listen to me talk, maybe. I'm gonna kind of try to share a little bit of my life story, a little bit of my art story, what got me into art, kind of how I'm dealing with the whole quarantine thing now. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. Enjoy. All right, well, here we go. Welcome to my drawing table. You can't really see that much. Probably a good thing. If you could see the way I have this camera rigged up, there might be some duct tape involved. It's not necessarily pretty, but hey, it's functioning. Hopefully this will all work out, but more worried. I'm right here beside my big window. It's raining out. We might get a little thunder, might get a little rain sounds, but you know what? It'll work out. It'll all be good. Drawing this picture of a horse. You can't really see the whole thing. I've got it really zoomed in so we can see just the area I'm going to be working on today. It's by Miss Karen Bromeslik, if I pronounced her name correctly, I hope so. Phenomenal photographer who actually has a reference photo site on Facebook for artists. So once I'm done, I'll be able to show her the work that I did from her photo. Tools I'm using today, this is kind of a half graphite, half charcoal drawing. So I've got some just cheapo general charcoal sticks, Create-A-Color Nior pencils. They're just they're an oil-based graphite pencil, more or less, if I'm even saying all that right. And then just my trusty old Faber-Castell pencils, and normal little Skillcraft 05, and some brushes for smudging, some tortilla sticks, whatever you call those things. Nobody can pronounce those right, but we all use them. Kneaded eraser, and my little combo eraser too, which is your best friend. So let's see if I can even talk and draw at the same time, because who does that? That's not really natural. We're gonna give it a shot. So there might be some periods of silence where I'm not talking, but yeah, hopefully I can get this going. Pretty much just wanted to get on here, see how everybody's doing, let you know how I'm doing. I've been watching a lot of podcasts and watching other artists' YouTube videos, and everybody's just talking about giving back and spending time kind of like online with each other, because everybody's lonely, everybody's kind of in quarantine or in lockdown. I, on the other hand, have been fortunate enough to still go to work, and so my days have actually been really busy. I'm only a hobby artist, I would say, because I have a full-time job, almost full-time, and I work out a lot, and so it's like by the time I get home from my real job, art feels like work. And so I've kind of finally had the opportunity here to spend some more time drawing, and actually work on something that I wanted to, which was a horse. I started drawing horses when I was a kid and have just always loved drawing horses more than anything else. So I work at an animal clinic. I love my job. I love getting out and in the public. I've done the whole work at home thing, stay at home work. It was great for when the time being. It was great for when I needed it to be, but I more or less kind of thrive being around people. I'm kind of an introvert extrovert mix. Like, I can always find stuff to do as an introvert, but as an extrovert I do gain energy from being around people. So versus like an introvert, I know usually kind of when they're in a group that takes away their energy and they prefer to kind of spend time by themselves in order to recoup and gain energy. But anyways, so I love my job. I love going to work. I love the people I work with. But with everything going on with the pandemic, we have been given some time off, of course. We're seeing how that works. We might end up going back to our normal schedules because we have been booked like crazy. Everybody who is now home wants to get their animals taken care of, which is fine, but it just made us really, really busy. So anyways, but this week we're testing out this new little schedule thing, and I'm not going until later this week, so I gotta do something with my time. So here we are. So let's see. Pretty much my life as an artist started when I was a little kid. Obviously, I remember drawing in coloring books and that sort of thing, and I had a friend who I would watch him draw, and then I was kind of a copycat as a kid, I guess. Whatever you do, I want to do too. I was an only child, so I never really had anybody to compete with or to show me new things unless I figured it out. But I, was really close with my friends, and I saw him kind of drawing one day. I mean, we were little, like 101 Dalmatians stuff, like when that movie came out, not the cartoon, but the actual live movie. And I started drawing like those posters that came out during that movie, and really loved it, really enjoyed it, and would practice all the time. In high school, I would get a sketchbook and just try to fill it. Just try to fill all the pages, try to not leave a blank page in there, and I would sit in my room, listen to music, and draw, sketch, and I kind of remember about when like I would do one and I would say, man, that's really good. It looks really good. I was happy with it. And then I would do something else and, oh no, now I'm really happy with that one. That one's really good. But so it just kind of went from there. I just kind of always did it. I kind of remember going outside. I was like the weird kid that was always outside. I would take my drawing stuff outside and sit under a tree and be all emo and just enjoy it. It was always a part of what I did. And then as I kind of grew up and became a young adult, I ended up kind of getting a copy of Photoshop. Let's tread lightly. Got a copy of Photoshop and taught myself how to use Photoshop and digital art and painting with a computer and a tablet. And I spent a good 5 years, like I almost totally put traditional drawing stuff aside and spent time learning photo. I mean, that's such a vast program and I loved it. But it's different. With traditional art, you have a copy of something that you can put in a portfolio and take around, and you have that hard copy, which you don't really get with digital art unless you like make prints and stuff, which I never really got into. Of course, I was in on the whole DeviantArt days when that was huge. Everything got put on DeviantArt, So then, let's see, my Photoshop skills kind of got me into almost a graphic design job. So it was kind of like a random friend started making a side hustle thing and needed somebody who could do Photoshop and make ads and do kind of some computer stuff, and he asked me if I knew how, and I'm like, well, I don't really know anything about the computers, but I know how to work Photoshop. And he was like, what? So it's just like the time we live in. If you want to learn about something, you can learn about anything because of the internet, which is what's amazing about this day and age we live in. Like, after that job ended, I kind of started getting back into traditional art and wanting to do this more and wanting to make a little bit of money on the side doing it. I did commissions. I had never really drawn other animals other than horses, other than when I was a little kid and was drawing this little Dalmatians. But I drew my first dog portrait, I think it was 2017-ish, something like that. 2017, 16, something like that. And I drew my first dog portrait and then started doing dogs and pet portraits for people and that sort of thing. And then really started wanting to do color. I've always done black and white. Just really started wanting to do color stuff, and found a bunch of tutorials online. And I'm on the bottom level in this apartment, so people are gonna walk by my window and see this crazy setup. I literally have the camera suspended over my table. It's kind of embarrassing, but you know, the show must go on. So ended up, I always wanted to do color, and I ran across Mr. Jason Morgan. Shout out to Jason Morgan, who is a phenomenal teacher, and watched some of his videos and was like, you know what, I can do this. And because of the quality of his videos and just his way of teaching, he's so down to earth, I was like, you know, I kind of went all in. I kind of feel like if you know you want to do something, you should, number one, of course, put the effort into doing it. But if you're all in, you know, and you know you're learning from the best, like, just get their supplies. And you know, they've already been doing this for forever, and they are already telling you what's good to get and what you should be using. So I went all in. I spent the money to get the pastels and the paper and all that stuff. And so I never really struggled with it. I never really had to struggle with figuring out the best tools to use for pastels and the best paper and how to make the pastels stick to the paper. And it wasn't a struggle because I went in and just got what he used, because I'm like, well, if he's the best, he's the professional, I'm just going to do what the professionals do. And so I almost, not to say that I was good right out of the bat, everybody's got room for improvement. I certainly have room for improvement, but you know, I could produce some decent pieces straight out. So, you know, there's somebody walking by my door. I guess I should be friendly and wave. Hi. They'll probably see this video later, actually. So after all that, I really was putting in the effort to learn pastels. I still do pastels, obviously, still love pastels, but I really missed my roots, which were graphite and horses, and spending time just enjoying the process of creating. So that's what this week has brought me to, this picture. Maybe we'll pan out at the very end and you can see what we've got going on. Or maybe not. You need to just wait till the very end. So yeah, that's where we are now. I kind of don't really have a good studio setup. I mean, I do, because I have a desk. If you have a desk or any kind of surface, you can create a studio. But I live in a very small apartment, and I like it clean and tidy. I'm the artist that prefers everything put away at the end of the day and not leaving stuff out. I like clean surfaces and put away surfaces. So like to do any kind of time lapse thing, which I've always wanted to do anything like that, you know, I would have to leave. I can't really work very long at a time. So I would have to leave like the camera out in the exact same position as it's been in, and, you know, restart the camera. And I don't want to leave camera contraptions out every day in my little 1-bedroom apartment. So hopefully we can eventually get a house and have a studio, and then I'll be okay to leave stuff out, because you can just close the door behind you. But right now I have to live in this space, as well as work in this space. And my husband lives here with me, and I have 2 dogs, Sully and Eva. So currently, my husband is actually deployed, which, you know, for me, that is about 1,000 times harder than quarantine, than COVID, than anything that, you know, this whole thing brings on. It's like, okay, whatever for me, just because I've already been dealing with some stress and some high emotional stuff already with him being gone. It's been really difficult, but because he's gone, I don't have anybody in here to talk to, so I'm talking to you guys. So, let's see, he has been gone since October 2019. He's in the Navy, and I saw him last in December. So far right now, it has been 117 days. Yes, I have a countdown. He's due home in August, and our dreams and goals are to buy a house once he's home and kind of, it's sad to say start living, but it kind of is, because we've been in this limbo transition because of this upcoming deployment. I feel like for the past 2 years, we kind of heard about it and we thought it was coming, and it was kind of a, oh, you might not have to go, or you might get to just decide if you want to go, and da-da-da-da. And when then suddenly it was, no, you have to go. And so it's been just kind of a back and forth thing, and then waiting for the deployment to happen, and then, you know, now it's here, and now we're waiting for the deployment to finish. So just kind of been in some limbo. Feels like forever. We've been married 3 years. We did celebrate our 3-year anniversary separate, which thankfully that was the only thing we've really had to celebrate separately so far. I did get to see him on Christmas, so that was awesome. We went down to, he was just in training for Christmas, so I was able to fly down and be with him then, but then that was the last time I got to see him. So highlight of my months and weeks these days are sending little care package boxes. So anybody who kind of maybe has deployment people in your life, or military people, families, I highly encourage you to do that. That's it breaks up their day so much, because right now they, you know, at least I know for Chris, he literally works and goes to his little dorm room and sleeps and then goes back to work. Especially they're in quarantine too, so they don't even really get to go out and do anything either. So anyways, a little tech talk here. This is something that I picked up a long time ago. This is a makeup brush. There's nothing fancy about this, but I just like it because it's snubby and easy to transport and carry around. This, instead of using the harder blending stick like this, this allows you to just kind of lightly bring the graphite over the paper. It doesn't really dig it down into the tooth of the paper. So I have learned that doing this, I can then come in with my little eraser, and you can still easily pull up your highlights in the graphite with this sort of thing. So that's why I like using the brush. Anyways, yeah, so that's my home life. Let's see. So I know everybody's kind of been dealing with being stuck at home, having to figure out, you know, what are we going to do with our time? I've just been really watching some different YouTubers, like I said, and podcast people that, you know, who are saying, and I want to also say, you know, to find something to do with that time. Don't just, you know, use this time to watch your, you know, whole Netflix reruns that you've already seen a couple times, or, you know, learn a new skill. This is your time to, you know, do that craft or that hobby that you've maybe hadn't had a chance to do. So that's what I'm doing, because even though I should, you know, I'm okay with just maybe just drawing and getting some artwork done, but pushing myself to the next level, by doing some videos. Of course, now I'm seeing might have to put some money into getting some tripods or something, or some lighting, and just being okay with leaving that stuff out. But who knows? We'll see how this little video turns out. This is not in any way going to be interesting because there's no fast way around doing this at the detailed level that I want it to be. I want to have texture in this horse's coat. I want to have highlights and depths, and I want it to just be as lifelike as possible. So literally hair by hair, you ticking away and then kind of pulling up the highlights as you go. But I would show you the reference, but it's already set up. I'm kind of trying to, I might make this a little more interesting and come over here and do some of the fetlock or something, but this whole big area is a little bit confusing because you've got some shade, some highlights here, moves into shading, and it's just my mind trying to talk and like figure out where I need to go. It's a little difficult, but it's okay. I'm already a little bit more relaxed than I was when I first started. So this is my very, very first video ever like this. But I've just been so appreciative of all the other artists who have done this, and appreciate their time, and I have found it entertaining. What I have liked to do is set up my drawing while I listen, and that way it kind of just makes it feel like you're not so lonely. So I'm just trying to darken up these little areas. You can see where I've already kind of done some darkening. This pencil is actually a little dull, but I try to use them as long as possible when they're like this, because you can see how much pencil I have to work with. It's not that much. To get a little sharper point on it, I take my little, this is just a sandpaper. I'm trying to be careful so I don't get dust on my drawing. And I'll actually like grind it down into a little bit of a point. And that way I'm not actually having to sharpen it. Taking away some of the wood and stuff, but I'm gonna wipe it off. Let's see. So this whole area gets really dark, and this whole area is supposed to be a lot darker. Not a lot, but it's this big gradual fade. Don't look, there's people passing. Don't look at them. Don't make eye contact. So once I kind of lay down more graphite, I can take the brush and really buff it out a little bit, and then put the texture back in. So it's just like a process of smudging it out and laying it back down, smudging it out and laying it back down. This little section was a bit of charcoal that I liked, that I used to darken up. Almost too dark too soon, but I couldn't really get it even with the rest. But it still looked good, so I left it. It's just all about the texture. I've never drawn a smooth, well, I can't say never. I've drawn a couple human faces, but not like hyper details, one where you see the pores and all that stuff. Maybe one day. I'm trying to get bigger. Like this is I think maybe 11 by 14, and I've really enjoyed getting a lot of detail into these bigger papers, bigger sheets, and we might try to do more of that, but I need some more pastel matte paper to do pastels. And of course the shipping, it's not that the shipping's closed, you can get stuff, but pastel matte's hard to get in the United States anyways. It just takes forever. Comes from the UK anyways, and sometimes it's just like, well, I'll just work with what I have for right now. I don't have any commissions on the board, which is interesting that it's just such an ebb and flow with those. It's like I either have a ton or I have none. And I'm kind of okay with that so that I can do things that I want to do right now. I'm not really ever worried about like being super popular and having a big list. I would like to when I know I'm doing this like part-time. Like I said before, for me it's difficult to take care of home life, to work out, and then also be any kind of a full-time-ish, part-time-ish artist. But one day maybe I'll be able to control it all better. Yeah, working out. So that's my other huge hobby. Do we call that a hobby? It's like a necessity. I don't know. I really miss my gym. That has been a huge kicker for me. I was, obviously with my husband deployed, I was pouring a lot of time into going, I want to be the fittest I've ever been before he comes back. And that was a really big goal for me, a big deal. And it still is. And I'm really upset that that's closed because I feel like it's a setback for my goals, because I have like a timeline on them, August. But I know there's all these at-home workouts you can be doing, but it's like when you've been disappointed about something, if you've ever been disappointed, I'm sure everybody has, it kind of takes the wind out of your sails a little bit. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm like rebelling against the whole at-home workout thing. I'm like, well, I don't want to do it. I just want to be at the gym. Of course, that's not really a great attitude. I have been running still. I have been doing some at-home workouts, but I was at the gym 6 days a week, probably. And so 6 days a week to maybe once or twice a week. Shh, don't tell my husband. He's going to watch this anyway, so who cares, but whatever. Yeah, so I'm going to get back into it. But as soon as that gym opens back up, I'm not going to lie, artwork's going to go on the back burner again. And I will be at the gym probably 7 days a week. I don't know. What about you guys? What are you missing during all this stuff? How's it affecting you? What are you dealing with? Feel free to leave a comment. I'm loving talking to people. I love meeting new people. So I would love to hear what you're going through. Just slowly building. Of course, yes, I did watch Bob Ross growing up. When I was little, I would watch him on a Saturday morning and then break out my paints on the kitchen table and try to paint with him. My mom thought it was the cutest thing ever. So I'm kind of getting some darker bits in there than I would like. So we're going to pull out back this is just a HB, but I really like these mechanical pencils because the point is so fine. So when I'm dealing with like these little tiny horsehairs, tiny hairs, you can just get them in so light and they just really bring in a lot of texture. So I don't really do prints of my work yet. I would love to, of course, the whole space thing. I don't really have anywhere to set that up. But right now, while Chris has been gone, my main objective has been to put out a calendar this year. However, I've just not been very successful at it. I started it maybe last year, and I want to do North America wildlife, and I did 2 drawings beginning of this year, into last year, I think. No, last year. Wow, time flies. I did 2 of them. I was going to do 1 drawing a month for my calendar. Well, here we are, 2020, no calendar. But, you got to do what your heart desires, which is, mine was, I just needed to reset. I needed to relax with art. So that's why we're doing this guy. But look out for it. My goal is to still do a calendar. I just, sometimes you can't really put restraints on yourself when you're dealing with so much already. I was dealing with a lot of emotional stress, obviously, from Chris leaving and being gone, and then everything that happens with this COVID stuff. I mean, work has been crazy, so that stressful situation, you know, coming home, not that art is stressful, but to me, like when you're doing it, not that I don't put my heart into it, but when I know I'm trying to create something for a profit, it's harder to get into it. And that's kind of why I never wanted to do commissions way back when I first started. Because it's somebody else's pet or it's somebody else's, you know, request. It's not necessarily something I thought of doing myself. And I kind of do struggle with that. You know, it's not necessarily something I want to do. I mean, don't get me wrong, I want to do it for the person because, you know, it's usually, you know, a beloved pet. Maybe they've passed away. And I love doing that for them for that reason. But actually, you know, the subject matter, that's kind of what keeps me going. But I'm trying to be just more disciplined in the area that, you know, you just need to draw for the sake of drawing, no matter what it is. Because it's always good to have something to be practicing. Totally cut out there for a second, but that's okay. We're going to keep going. I'm going to be learning this whole camera thing for a long time, I'm sure. I don't even know what I was talking about, but that's okay. So I'm going to just kind of move on to a different little section here. See what we can do with this mane. The thing is with hair, with long hair like this, I'm not really that good of an artist. I'm not really that technical of an artist. I just kind of start them and I hope that they turn out good. I don't know. I kind of just start drawing. I don't know, that's probably not the best technique. Don't do as I do. But, you know, usually I'm moderately happy with my own work. So, works for me. There's a lot of white. This Porsche is probably either a Palomino. It's black and white in my reference photo too. So it's either like a chestnut or a Palomino, flax and chestnut. So it's a very light mane. This whole thing is like a high contrast drawing, and that's what really drew my eye to it. So I'm trying to maintain that. I really can't wait to do a time-lapse video with this, but we'll see one day. So I need to get a lot more contrast going in here to kind of make some of those highlights pop. I'm not even sure if you can really see any of this. I'd love to do a live stream because that would be more entertaining. That way I could actually like talk to people and talk to you guys, but maybe in the future. You're not supposed to draw on your blow on your drawings either. I was just breaking all the rules today. don't know what that little spot is. It's bothering me. So other than artwork and working out, which I've already talked about, those are like kind of my go-to hobbies. I play the drums, so that's kind of fun. Play the drums for my church. Of course, right now everything has been crazy. I haven't been playing, but before all of this, it was very regular. So this particular drawing, I am kind of really putting a lot of effort into it, trying to really make it as hyper realistic and detailed as I possibly can, because I would love for it to be hung in my house one day. So I'm very sentimental. So to have something hanging that I really worked on hard and poured my heart into while Chris was gone on deployment, would just kind of mean a lot. It means that we're overcomers. You're an overcomer. Yeah, that was a dog snorting. This whole eye part does not make a lot of sense. The reference is kind of blurry, hard to make out. And you know what? I'm okay with it. I will probably fiddle with this area and mess around with it a lot. I always kind of jump around on my drawings, and at least with graphite, maybe not so much with pastel pencil, it's a little more straightforward, but I'll work on this little section a lot, and then I'll notice like, oh, over here I need some adjusting, so I'll go over there and work, and then down here and work. Obviously I do still try to work from left to right, but I kind of try to jump around a little bit to keep my interest in it, so you don't get bored with one little section. This little nib has some charcoal on it, so it's allowing me to get some little darker areas going. So that's why I'm using this. Because this whole area is really dark in my reference. But I needed to still be able to show what it is. It's an eyeball. It's got a lot of wrinkles. It's a very inquisitive look. So I really like these. These are Krita Color Nero pencils. Another artist showed them to me a while ago, and they really allow for like just this flat black look to them. I don't even know if you can see any of this. I'm not used to that. I see people do this. Oh, is that a thing? Oh, I look so professional. Whatever. They really put out like a black charcoal-y look, but they don't smudge like charcoal. So they're cool, but if you're looking to really like smudge out your drawing, they don't really do that very good. So once you lay them down, they're kind of set. But they really provide some dark shadows, some really deep blacks, like that charcoal. I don't really ever work with charcoal. But when I started this drawing, I was feeling brave, and I knew I wanted this really dark areas. You'll see, I'll just move this a little bit. This whole section back here is black, and that's all charcoal. So it's kind of a mix. That's why it's a mix. I call it a mix of charcoal and graphite. So obviously you can't get the details that I wanted to get in with charcoal, but I really wanted that dark look. Anyways, I feel like I was talking about something before my camera cut out, but I guess it wasn't important. Oh, I'm trying to figure out these little areas right here, and don't really know what this is. All the while still trying to remember hair growth, which way is the hair laying, and how it goes around these lumps and bumps and stuff. Anyways, don't blow on your drawings. You could spit on it. Do as I say, not as I do. Gosh, I'm so cheesy. You know why? It's because there's nobody here to talk to, and now that I'm finally talking, it's like, bleh. Alright, so I'm trying to decide. There's a line right through there, and it was part of my sketch line, but that little area is very light. I really almost just wanted to erase that whole area. But maybe if we'll just break it up a little bit, you won't be able to see it. Yeah, that works. What are we doing now? I'm losing track. So also, aside from pastels, I've been watching a lot of color pencil tutorials, which, you know, I've always wanted to do what are they called? Pencils, color pencils. Yep, those. That's why I started with pastels, because pastels seemed like the happy medium for colored work. You can kind of cover a large area quickly with pastels versus the struggle of building slowly up with color pencils. But now that I've done pastels, which I do love, I just, sometimes it's like, well, what's the next thing? What can I do now? You kind of want to try the next thing, which is colored pencils, but unfortunately everything costs money. But I will probably still try them sometime. And, you know, go big or go home. I'll probably buy whatever Faber-Castell, Luminous, I don't even know, Polychromos, something or other. I don't know. I know nothing about the color pencil world. But that's what tutorials are for. So unfortunately, I can kind of feel a little bit with this paper. This is kind of cheap paper. It's not Stratham Bristol board paper, but it's like the next brand down. It's like some kind of recycled paper. Sometimes these little side projects that you work on for yourself, you don't really want to use your best supplies. I don't know. Not everything has to be a masterpiece, but for me it always ends up like I want it to turn into a masterpiece. So anyways, I feel like this little section is a little bit worn. Why? I don't know, but I think like my hand was doing a little bit of rubbing over here when I was working on this area. So I feel, you can feel the texture of the paper pulling up a little bit. If that makes sense. Just trying to keep these lines going so that you can see them. I don't know. Not that good with hair, especially white hair. I love drawing long black hair, but white hair is difficult because you pretty much just draw the shadows. You don't draw like the hair themselves. And then try to maintain our highlights. Save the highlights. I don't know. So I'm actually going to go ahead and sharpen this one a little bit real quick. I have a crank Durant sharpener. Oh, but I'm going to complain about it because it's actually really awful. It does great for regular pencils. Awesome, right? But anything else other than regular pencils, it eats, breaks the tips. I waste so much pastel with that thing, and this is my second one, you know, because I didn't really learn my lesson the first time around, and I bought the same thing the second time around thinking, oh, maybe this one will last longer. Nope, does not. But the particular sharpener that a lot of my UK friends use, the swordfish sharpener for pastels, I cannot get here in America. So if you're watching this and you have a spare swordfish sharpener laying around and you want to donate it to a good cause, my address is, no, I'm just kidding. I really love, one of my favorite things is like when you start really getting in some darks against these highlights and it just starts getting really punched out and looks, actually turns into something. I'm kind of a instant gratification person, a little bit, I'm gonna admit, and so like seeing the messy stages of a drawing is really hard for me. I want it to look good and I want it to look good now, but so I know a lot of different artists do the you know, the whole messy underpainting first with pastels, and I like to work from left to right, perfecting this section, making it perfect, and working all the way across, making it look good, you know, just because I want to see my work has been put to good use and see something completed. I don't work on multiple projects at once. I do one thing at a time. I gotta complete something first before I move on to the next one. However, I say that, and then for the first time ever, I started this one before I finished my last wildlife drawing, just because I needed this. I needed just to relax with it and chill with it. So anyways, we're building up some of this hair here. My dogs, yep, it's time for them to eat. So I hope you enjoyed this. I really did. This is gonna be done here in the next couple weeks, I don't know. Let me just pan out a little bit so you can kind of see what you're looking at. So yeah, I still have all of this. This muzzle is gonna be my favorite right here. I'm looking forward to doing that, but hopefully if I get a chance to do this again, you'll enjoy it. I hope you enjoyed this one. I'm just kind of rambling, but that's okay. You probably already left. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching in my studio today, and have a great one.